Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live SmartClick session. This session is titled The Revenue Engine Aligning SEO Traffic, Conversion, and Pricing for Scalable SaaS Growth. We are really happy to see so many people joining from around the world. My name is Victoria, and I work as the Senior Growth Marketing Manager at SmartClick, which is your SEO growth partner that helps you build predictable revenue with strategic AI and SEO. Today's session will show you how aligning SEO traffic, conversion, and pricing can scale your SaaS growth. For that reason, we decided to invite Chris, the CEO of Value Ships, to join our very own Milan Sabov, the CEO of SmartClick. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, thanks for us having
Hey,
here.
Thank you
thanks
for
for having
being
me.
here. Thank you. Today's session will last around 30 minutes. Once we are done with the roundtable discussion, we will move on to the questions and answers, and we will address the questions from the audience. Please feel free to use the chat and ask your questions throughout the session. And for starters, I will begin with Chris. Please tell me what is going on at Value Ships, what is new, and maybe you can also discuss, of course, the topic around pricing, which is your specialty.
So again, thank you very much for having me. As mentioned, my name is Chris. I'm co-founder of Value Ships, and we're Value Ships is a boutique pricing consultancy working mostly in technology sector. And to be very honest, trying to answer your question a bit. Um, I have never seen pricing being so hot as a topic as it is nowadays. So I've been working in pricing for last 11 years. My whole business career is around pricing, around technology, and it has been always an important topic. Nevertheless, right now, I think it's not only a luxury to have a pricing team or to work on your pricing, but it is inevitable. And there are a couple of reasons behind that, but like the overarching reason is obviously AI. But let me try to deep dive a bit here. So first of all, we see that AI is making us more efficient. Since it is making us more efficient, there are two things happening here. The first one is that there is on the service level, there is quite of a tension from the prospective and current clients perspective to decrease our prices, right? So if we're being more efficient, we're using AI, it makes our work faster. Why we should pay the same price, right? We should be cheaper. This is what we see from the client perspective. Also, since we are more and more efficient, we don't need so many employees, so many FTEs. The job market is quite challenging nowadays, which means that if you're on the product side and you're a SaaS company and you're charging for users, focusing your growth on users, that might be challenging, right? Because most likely there won't be more users, because this is how AI is changing the market. So the core value metric and the competitive pressure or pricing pressure from clients is one, like I would say, big trend that we are currently seeing, and also it makes companies act on that, right? So like it actually pushes you as a company to do something around pricing. The second one, I think, what is quite important is cost volatility, which basically means that you don't really know, you while using the AI, you don't really know how your cost structure will look like. This is also challenging from the profit perspective, because if you are using Anthropic and you're paying 10K today, 20K tomorrow, 70K in a month from to today, and in 2 months maybe you are going back to 20K, you can't really forecast your margin. So if you can't really control your costs, and most likely you won't be capable of doing that in the nearest future, because you want to use innovation, you want to use AI, so you want to give your team also a freedom to use it. If you can't control it, then the only lever that you have is basically pricing to drive your profitability. And I think this brings me to the third topic, right? So if you take into consideration the profit equation, it goes as follows, right? It's price times sales, which is volume, minus costs, right? So costs are hard to navigate nowadays. And when it comes to sales, this is even harder, right? When you think about all the AI SDRs, if you look in your inbox, how many emails you are receiving. SEO became also challenging. I think Milan will tell us a bit more about that. But again, those like our classical levers are changing, and pricing more or less is the I don't want to say the last lever, definitely not, but one of the most intuitive lever to pull nowadays, trying to differentiate yourself. So I think from the macro perspective, this is what is changing. Those are like, there are of course more trends than only the three that I'm referring to, but I think that for our conversation, this is what's happening right now. So companies, what they are doing, I think that what is important nowadays, pricing from the pricing perspective, is to act on your pricing, basically to start doing something. Because I have strong opinion, strong feeling that the companies who will lose are the ones who decide to wait. They are not going through the learning curve. They are not trying, acting on their pricing. They are just like they are just protecting the status quo, and definitely this is not the way to go. So typically what I see is that as a company nowadays, you need to do, I would say, at least three things. So first of all, protect what you currently have. So you have your currently existing users. Maybe some of them are discounted. Maybe some of them are grandfathered. Understand how much of an opportunity is sitting there. And if those are the clients who have high NPS, high CSAT, they like you, try to seal the margin leakages that you have there. This money that you're going to collect will give you a strategic freedom to act in the midterm and in the long term. I think in the midterm, you should act on the value metrics. So if we see that users access classic value metrics are not the metrics that will be the most hot in the future, you need to start experimenting with them. And what does it mean? Maybe those are some usage limits on your features. Maybe there are some usage caps. Maybe you're just launching a new add-on and you can monetize it beyond users. So trying to experiment with other value metric, other things that you can charge for in order to boost expansion revenue, to test it before scaling it. I think this is what everyone should do in the midterm. And then, of course, in the long term, and this is the hardest to predict, but if number two proves successful, then you should come up with a scaling agenda. So how to transform my very classical business model to the model that is corresponding more to the value that I'm generating to my users. Because it is hard to navigate what will be the future-proof value metric. If it's credits, maybe revenue share, maybe something like that. I think that this is not feasible for now, and it won't be never possible to just say it. Yeah, this is the one that you should use. But what is I am not 100%, but 90% certain is that we will move more towards value sharing models, right? Where we as a SaaS companies, service providers, we need to be more plugged into the success of our clients. And if we are in the B2B relationships, success is either growth or profit. Right. So if we want to be plugged into the value, we need to prove that we are somehow influencing those two levers. Ultimately, most likely it will be a profit for most of the companies, of course, not for all of them, because there are, of course, this super growth, hyper growth companies that they don't care about the profits; they care about growth. But I think in most of the relationships, our obligation is basically to be closer to our clients and to have the model that is around value share. So this is that was a quick question. How are you? So this is how I how I am.
Thank you so
Looks like
much.
you're great.
Yes. And while you were talking about pricing, I would like to know, because our topic today is, the revenue engine. I would like to also ask you, how do you think pricing affects conversion and revenue scalability?
So I think that one by one, right? The conversion. Uh, so let me decipher it a bit, right? So pricing is not only a price tag; it's also your model, but it's also how you communicate your value. Value-based pricing. There is also a value communication side of it. So as a state of obvious, of course, if your price is way beyond pricing corridor, you are much more expensive than anyone else, and you are not providing any additional value. I mean, it will drastically affect your conversion. You will lose, right? Also, to show the other side of the story, if you're providing tons of value but you're super cheap, nobody will believe in it. So it will also be negative for your conversion. Too good to be true is not a good offer, right? There is a phenomenon that is calling like you are too cheap. I know it's hard, especially where I'm coming from, when we are like quite price sensitive, but really like you can be too cheap to convert. But this is like, I would say, trivia, obvious, most likely nothing new to our audience. I think what is important pricing wise is the communication layer of it. So with our case studies, we've been and with our clients, we've been testing different value communications on the pricing page. And as a general truth, we see that the more quantified, the more dollarized is the value, the better conversion you can expect. So there is a simple case study that I'm referring to quite often about time management platform, where we've changed the communication from very simple, like, the best features, blah, 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 let's talk about features, to improve efficiency of your developers by at least 30%, right? How much time? I don't remember it from the top of my head, but basically it was about time efficiency and 30%. And we have seen 30% conversion increase, which was from 1.8 to 2.4 at the pricing page level. So I would say that pricing plays an important role in conversion, but pricing as an umbrella topic for value communication, packaging, and price tags. Of course, I could spend like additional 3 hours tell you how it affects when it comes to packaging. So I will spare you this questionable pleasure. Let's say, and I will go directly to the second question, which was about. Which was about, you need to remind me, not the
Yes,
conversion,
it was
but it
about
was a
how pricing
The
affects
revenue.
conversion and revenue
revenue.
scalability.
And
Yes.
scalability, this is pricing in a nutshell, right? So I mean, your model needs to be scalable. The metric that you are charging for needs to be aligned with the value. It needs to be scalable for you and for your clients. It needs to be predictable. It needs to be acceptable. You need to also understand how it scales your costs, right? So especially right now, when it comes to AI and how we are using it in the backend. So cost, going back to cost volatility, right? So like, I think that especially at the very beginning, everyone needs to make sure that we are building the models that are scalable for our clients, and those models are allowing us for expansion revenue. So yeah, full stop. I will not go deeper into it, but basically, no, your model needs to scale. This is like,
Yeah, I want
one
to add
sentence.
something here on. You mentioned one question before. The companies who lose are those who wait most in the market. What I'm noticing is that the same happens with our service, so with SEO and AI adapting to the new way of search. What currently happens is a lot of companies are facing with traffic drop issues. But what actually, this is the symptom which they get, but they don't thinking like steps before what happens so the drop comes. So what I suggest is just to try to adopt to this new way of searches, because the drop partially is because these new users are going to search on the AI, and you have to early adopt to the market and to the new way of searches, so you start dominating that AI search and do not like be hidden by this drop so much, because maybe there are 3-4 cases in the past 2 weeks who are losing huge amount of revenue only because of that, because of they wait so much and now they're losing. But it's the same with the pricing, I think.
So do you know, this is interesting, like generally I think business perspective, because frequently, the followers were quite successful, right? So
Yeah,
we will see what is happening, we'll see what innovations are coming, we will verify which were successful, which were not successful, and then we will
yeah,
implement with like twice as much of a budget the successful ones, right? Nevertheless, when you think about these things, like things has changed, right? Like companies could have afforded it simply because the growth of new companies was not that fast, right? Right now,
yeah,
look,
yeah,
every month we see the new record from like 0 to 100 million ARR, or 0 to like 500 million
like
revenue, something like
2.5
that.
billion for cloak.
Yeah, like yeah, and valuation of like you don't even like you start having a problems with calculating zeros,
Yeah,
right? So I think that this is what has changed, right? So before, being a stable big company, you could have afforded it because you could verify.
yeah,
You saw the
yeah,
small guys who are doing that, but you have like 10 times 10x marketing budget. So in case this is super successful, you just immediately apply it and then eat them with your marketing spend,
yeah,
ads, SEO, etc. Right now, small companies can catch up with you quite fast, right? So this is a big difference, and this is why I think that if you want to survive, you need to act, right? You need to do
mm,
something, because if you don't, once the change will really happen and everyone will start using it like this, you won't be prepared. So, and most likely you'll do a lot of mistakes.
yeah. My point was, instead of waiting for the damage and then recover, you just had to think like in advance to prevent that drop and early
Mhm.
adapt to the new way of search, or to the new changes. Because I was also interested to discuss this with you. How much of the traffic which comes to the website is actually related to the pricing? Because even if you have the perfect pricing, but then you're attracting the bad visitors on the website, then what's the point of improving that? What should be improved first? Maybe what's your expertise when that comes in situation with your customers?
So, first of all, I think that it is worth to mention that pricing pages typically second or third most visited website
Mm.
on your page, right? Secondly, just to add a bit more context, it really depends if you are scaling and if you're B2B or B2C, right? Because if you're in B2B, I mean, the role is a bit different versus if you're in B2C and you are visible in Google Shopping or
Yeah.
something like that. So the latter is a bit more more important, because you typically don't care about this, right? Because you
Mm.
just work with volume. So
Yeah.
with B2C products, what I have seen, they typically work with volumes. The higher volume, the better it is, and then they will focus on the conversion, because like the ICP is typically much broader, right? In B2C, you're typically selling a bit more expensive things, so you're not like doing tons of performance marketing. You don't spend like millions of Facebook ads and stuff like that. You're doing things that are a bit more strategic. So if your value proposition is addressing the market that you don't have an offering for, you have basically two options. Either change your offering in the way that it has for example, lower barrier of entry. And this might be a case, right? So, you spotted something in the market. Solutions like this are attracted by smaller companies. For now, I don't have offering for them because my barrier of entry is 500 USDs per month, and this is clearly too expensive for the value for the small clients. So how we can downsize the offering in order to be attractive for them? So this is your option number one, especially if you're just a starting company at the very beginning, you're at your product market fit or just before your product market fit, or then I think this might be a smart move. On the other hand side, if you don't want to change your offering or it doesn't make sense because this like your audience is totally off, I think this is much more of a marketing problem, right? So how you communicate, what you communicate. If you identified your ICP much better, and here I think I do have any. I can tell you what I think, but this is definitely beyond my expertise, right?
Yeah.
Not a marketing, not a branding expert. I do have an opinion, but maybe I shouldn't share it, right? Because again, not an expert.
Okay, thank you so much to both of you. Now I would like to move a little bit to Milan and ask him to talk about exactly the topic that he mentioned, traffic. So I would like him to explain to the audience the difference between SEO traffic and revenue traffic, and why so many SaaS companies nowadays generate traffic but not pipeline. Maybe Milan, you can share your thoughts.
Yeah, this is really a great question, because part of the revenue traffic could also be from SEO or from other channels. But the difference here is the revenue traffic are actually people who are here to buy something, not just some random guys who visited the website. So the main thing here which you have in mind is to create like a content which resonates to people who are looking for some solution explicitly for that. And that's, again, I said that the way how people search is changing, and now we have to give them more context on the website which is relevant to the context which they already search on the AI searches, because it's not the same before without AI and now with AI searches. So when you think about attracting revenue and filling the pipeline with SEO, just think about how your potential buyers would search for your product or service, or what kind of context they should give the AI searches so you appear as a first suggestion there in the listings. That's really the difference. But again, start from their perspective, not from yours. Not what you should create as a content, but what they want to consume, so you increase the trust to them, because there are a lot of options probably, so you're not the only one.
Yes, you need to pay attention to what they actually want to find
Yeah.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. Okay, now thank you both of you for explaining everything separately. Now I would like actually to align traffic conversion and pricing and to see how we can achieve that revenue engine to scale the SaaS companies. I would like to ask one question to both of you and think about whether you have the same opinion or not. Maybe it will be different. I would like to know what companies should fix first, traffic, conversion, or pricing. I would like you both of you to think about this and tell me. I would like to know whether you agree on that or maybe you have different opinions.
I can
Yes.
start. So,
Okay. Cool.
Go ahead.
uh, of course, it depends on the stage you're currently in, right? So if you're just a starting company, I mean, even if you have the best pricing on earth, but you don't have any visitors, I mean, you're basically gone, right? So I mean, if you're like from 0 to 1, and then like there's always this question, as a founder, as a like person in the company, as a employee, what I should dedicate my time to, right? And I think that if you are the common mistake, especially at the very beginning, is that we dedicate 100% time to SEO, traffic, and sales, while it should be 80% to it and 20 to pricing. So I would say, answering your question, fix sales basically, and everything that is under sales traffic, it can be one of them, because like no matter what pricing model you have, I mean, if nobody visits your website, I mean, it's good as nothing, right? Then thinking about later steps, you know, if you already have some audience, if you are not working only on the currently existing users, but you're working, if you're not working only on the new users, but also on the currently existing users, then pricing is actually a lever that can support both type of clients, right? You know, with traffic, with conversion, basically you're only influencing one part of your annual recurring revenue or profit. There are two sides to it, right? New clients, existing clients. So there, I think, you know, the bigger you are and the more revenue is generating by currently existing clients, the more important pricing is, because it touches two words. We frequently have this saying that, especially for already companies that have some traction, you know, there is never a good time to work on pricing, but why working on anything else if the pricing is suboptimal, right? Because with every sale, you're efficiently losing money, right? Either on, like, you could have converted them on the higher ARPU, or you could convert it them better, or they could just pay more, right? So it's, you know, an incremental loss that you're accumulating with suboptimal pricing prices. So I know that I'm not answering your questions like, you know, this is it, but I think that this is the logic that I would apply, right? So the bigger you become, the more important the more important pricing is, but with a very, very important caveat. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't dedicate any time at the very beginning. You should, right? So not 80%, not 70%, but like 10 to 20% of your time to come up with a model that is scalable for you and is not basically that is not hitting your growth, that is not slowing down your growth. And this is at least a hygienic thing that you should do.
Thank you so much, Chris. Milan, what about you?
I agree almost completely with Chris. So this is my way of thinking. I always start with what I have currently. So if there is no traffic, we definitely need to generate more. No matter does it SEO, PPC, outbound, whatever it is, but we have to bring some people because we can't get a feedback. Are the our offer and our pricing is the right fit for our customers if there is no one? So if we have one, then we can just like isolate each of the steps from the buyer journey to see where actually the people stops going to the next step or to the next one until they have to purchase something. So when we have that, and we are sure that people are coming to the pricing page, are deciding to buy some of the options, then we can, I think, improve the pricing models. But again, you have to think about maybe from the very beginning, because once they come, you're not losing like money. So it's pretty related. Usually what I'm seeing in practice is when businesses doesn't know their business model, actually, how much their profit margin is, and these the most important numbers, even when they have traffic, they are not profitable. So it's obvious that they have to fix something, like, again, reverse engineering the whole buying process, the whole offering. So they came up with some system which is actually bringing the money into the business. When there is traffic, there is a conversion. So both are important. Again, it depends really how much you have right now in terms of traffic, in terms of conversion.
Yes, thank you, Milan. Of course, every example is different for a different company because everyone is dealing with a different situation. But yeah, mostly, you know, we need to align everything so that it works in the end for the revenue engine. Thank you guys for this lovely session. Now we will move to the questions and answers section. And according to this last session that we had on this discussion, I have one question. It says, my company is already generating traffic and conversions. What are the signs that pricing is actually the bottleneck in revenue growth?
So couple of things here, right? So first of all, I would say that like if I would look into discounting practices, right? So look how much revenue is leaking in discounts. It is very simple analysis. ID of a client, last month invoice, plan that they are currently in, and how much is the plan, right? The sum from a column of like new pricing versus the last invoice, or pricing versus the last invoice. If you subtract one from the other, you have ultimately how much revenue you are leaking through discounts and anything like discounts, grandfathering, anything like this. Number one. Number two, very slow expansion revenue. So if you don't see your clients growing in time, most likely you're losing something, because those are the people who like you, those are the people who are not turning from your product, and they are not growing in your product. If they are not growing in your product, definitely either you are giving too much value at lower price, or maybe your packaging is screwed, or maybe your core value metric is not scalable enough. The third one is like interviews with your clients. So, or interviews with your sales, right? So if you don't have people negotiating your price, if you don't have people debating if you are not too cheap or too expensive, most like okay, if the people are not negotiating your price, you're basically too cheap, right? So
Yeah.
pricing shouldn't be like the most pleasant information that they receive, right? Price tag basically shouldn't be the most pleasant information that they receive. It should be like, okay, this is fair value for money. Maybe we can make it 5%, 10% cheaper. Then you should come back with like, yeah, we can make it 10% cheaper, but we'll downsize it a bit. So it's not it's negotiation, not a pricing discussion. There is a big difference between negotiation. Negotiation is one for the other. Pricing discussion is like, can we do it like 100 instead of 110, right? Very important difference. So those are like, I would say, three things that you should take, this can be three leading factors that you should take into consideration. There are some obvious things, right? That if you have not increased your prices in the last 3, 4, 5 years, I mean, definitely you accumulated already a commercial debt. If you added tons of value and you didn't adjust the prices to the value that you are most likely, again, you accumulated commercial debt. If your pricing is based on the gut feeling and a bit of a competitive sense, most likely 95% your cases you are too cheap. So couple of food for thoughts, of course, differs company to company, but this is the things that I would definitely take into consideration.
Thank you, Chris. Now I have another question. Maybe this is more for Milan. How should I know that SEO content can be used during the sale process in order to scale my growth, the growth of the company, probably?
You said sales process?
Yes.
Yeah. So one thing which you can do is to hear from all the objections which you're getting when you're on sales, or all the questions which your customers are asking, potential customers, and then try to create the content around this. Because when you have these questions already answered, you're like preparing your potential customers with the questions which they are having in their head. So maybe they will even not ask that on the sales call. So you will help them to understand the things better before you're on a call. With that, your sales call will be, I think, much smoother, and the whole sales cycle could be much shorter for at least one call. Again, it depends how long it is. For some companies, it is 3 to 6 months. For some, it's less than a month. So it really depends, but try to use what you have, what you're getting as objection, as a questions to cover in your blog post, in your LinkedIn post, whatever it is.
Okay, thank you so much, Milan. And we are almost out of time, so I will only have one more question for Chris. In your experience, how often should my company revisit pricing as part of my growth strategy?
So actually, that's going to be a quick one. So I think every quarter you should at least revisit the discounting patterns to understand if there is not revenue leaking there as a hygienic factor. Every half of the year you should take the decision if you're changing your model or not, and every year you should do something about this. And like also not doing anything about this, but with a discussion and as a decision is also acting on this, right? Just to make it crystal clear. Of course, what is I think quite important here is that I mean you should constantly at least on the monthly basis have a bit of a pricing discussion, right? Just like your board meeting, 5 minutes, 3 minutes dedicated to pricing. How values are changing in your competitors. Like, is there anything cool new on the market? How our margin is doing? Those are all parts of the pricing discussions, but it's a rule of thumb. And of course, the bigger you are, the more you have of those conversations. But if you need a simple framework for every 3 months discounting, every 6 months deciding if you should change it, every year change it, right?
Exactly. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, Milan, as well. We are almost done with our time for today. We have 1 more minute. So I would like to thank again everyone who joined and also the speakers who shared their opinions and their expertise. I think that we can all conclude from this that the most important thing is to have everything aligned in order to work and fix whatever is not working at the moment. Start with whichever that is, traffic, or maybe, I don't know, pricing, or maybe conversion, etc. So thank you again for joining us live. If this session sparked ideas about your pricing and your revenue engine, then make sure to take one action this week and maybe connect with our speakers on social media and continue the conversation there. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you again.
Thank you for listening. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.